This is Northeast Streaming Sports.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, guys, any...
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Northeast Streaming Sports ECFL recap program. We're here tonight to bring you all the scores, the schedule. I mean, listen, the playoffs are up and going right now, folks. It's a pretty exciting time right now for the ECFL. And tonight, we're scheduled to have on Coach Tom Chesky, one of my favorite guys out there in the ECFL league. He's the coach of the Connecticut Tar Heels. And, I've developed a relationship with a couple teams out there in the ECFL, the Connecticut Mustangs, which has kind of, how you doing, David? Has kind of gone to the wayside a little bit. I mean, over there with Shaq and that, the Mustangs, we were doing play-by-play for them, and that kind of fell through at the end there. But it was fun when it lasted, when we were covering the games. And Coach Tom Chesky, I know from previously from the Tar Heels when he was coaching the Connecticut Falcons, as a matter of fact. And I got to go to see the game on the last game when they played the Silver City Wolves. So I was in attendance there. I talked to the commissioner. I watched the game. And as you see behind me, I got a signed shirt by the whole team. And I want to start off by thanking the owner. I know Ivan was there. I finally met him in person and talked to him. And, of course, Coach Tom Chesky and the GM out there, and especially the players. I mean, I've interviewed a lot of the players, got to know them. And the first time I ever went and saw them live, and before the game, they presented me, as you see behind me right now, the jersey that was signed by the team, and they kind of accepted me into the family, and it was just a great time. I mean, I had a great time out there. A couple concerns that I want to talk to the coach about when he comes on, but the play was outstanding. The Tar Heels, pretty much with their speed, was too much for the Silver City Wolves. Taz and the running game was outstanding, and it was great there. Me and my wife were there, and we kind of did a couple interviews and like I said, met with the players and I was right there on the sidelines watching the game as it happened. So let's start off first by going down the scores of the playoffs there. You had the Southern City Admirals beat the Connecticut Mustangs 6-0. You had the Northeast Bulls beating the Green Valley Blackhawks 14-13. The score in the website of the Tar Heels and Silver City Wolves is incorrect. It says 34-28. I mean, they did win, but I think it was more like 24-12 if I remember correctly. The Connecticut Thundercats beat the Connecticut Brawler. The Connecticut Thundercats will be playing the Tar Heels in the championship there. And then you had the Hartford Rebels beating the Haverhill Hitmen. Now, Hartford Rebels has kind of got a special place in my heart, folks, because that's where I was born, was in Hartford. And it's good to see their program doing so good out there in Hartford. and they had a great season, and they're still going on. So that's great. Schedule up for the next games you have in the East Coast Conference, the Middleborough Cobras versus the Southern Maine Raging Bulls, and that'll be on 2 p.m. on Saturday. You have the Mill City Eagles against the Granite State Destroyers, 6 p.m., and that's in Trinity. You have the Troy City Titans in the Central Division playing the Taunton Gladiators. That's 7 p.m., and that's in Taunton. The Rhode Island Cowboys will be playing the Connecticut Panthers. That's in Clem Lemire Sports Complex. Sounds like a good place. In the East Division, you have the Northeast Bulls playing the Hartford Rebels in Old Kingsley, and the Connecticut Thundercats against the Connecticut Tar Heels, and that's going to be for the championship in the Coast Division. It says that's AAA. So we got some news about next year about the Connecticut Tar Heels that we'll be talking about. We also, like I said, Coach Tom Chesney comes on. We'll talk more about the game and what he expects playing the Thundercats, which they did beat the Connecticut Brawlers, as I said. But before I get to the game highlights and before a coach gets on, I do have a couple concerns when I went to the game. And you know, I played football for over a decade, and I coached for over a decade in football. And then one thing that was big was discipline, right? I mean, you had to be disciplined to play football. It's a very, very violent game. I mean, you would get arrested on the streets for what you do in a football game, right? I mean, you can't just go out and clock somebody and not pay some kind of fine or get arrested for that. In fact, the NCAA was founded, not the actual name, but by Teddy Roosevelt way back when, like in the 1920s or something, like 1910s, 1890s. I'm guessing, but I'm pretty close within a few decades, because in the Ivy League, which was the biggest football program back then, believe it or not, players were actually dying because of the football itself, the game itself. And he wanted football. He thought it was a great game, as do I. I think it's a beautiful game where, you know, he developed rules that so that the actual football would continue to be played and not be folded up, and that it would, you know, not be outlawed. So the president of the United States actually formed that committee that later became known as the NCAA. And that was for the protection of players and to keep the game alive because he thought it was such a great game. And as I was at the game, like I said, there was some tremendous play. But there was a lot of fights, too many fights. And I'm not sure what the rules are. And hopefully, if and when the coach comes on, he can explain that to me. And I don't want to give out any names. And listen, I get it, right? When you go on the football field, you can defend your brother. If somebody gets up in your brother's face, you're all family on the field. And he starts, you know, getting in your brother's face or pushes your brother or knocks him down, you're going to come to his defense. And that's the way the game is. But there was a player from the Silver City Wolves. I'm not going to say his name or give out his number. But it seemed he was there to fight rather than play football. He was flagged quite a bit. He was warned quite a bit. And, of course, you retaliate. And that's really not what the game is about. The game is not there to fight people. The game is there to be played and played hard and played smart, right? Coach told me when I played football one time that football is like a violent chess match, right? Because you got strategy, you got a scheme that you're trying to do, but you're doing it by hitting. It's also it's been said that football is like a controlled war. You got all this aggression, but you got to keep your head, and you got to play the game. So this was going on. I saw a player got ejected from the Wolves and got back in the game. So I'm not sure what the rules really are. I mean, if you get ejected from a game should be forced to leave the field. Right? I mean, if you're going to do something so bad physically that you are going to get ejected from a game, why are you still at the field? You should have been forced to leave the field. And if the player doesn't leave the field, then the other team forfeits. It's that simple. So he's going to have no choice. He either leaves or the team forfeits. Very simple to me. Now, I don't know if the refs have that power. I'm not sure, again, what the rules are when it comes to fighting. But when a player continually provokes fights, goes into the sidelines of the other team, the player shouldn't be playing anymore. Now, there's 3 reasons for this, folks. There's one of many reasons. First, you're destroying the game itself. The game has now become more of a barn brawl than the game. And if the ECFL wants to be serious about its league, and from what I've read, and believe me, I follow ECFL since the beginning when I got involved in it, it's called one of the best leagues in the country. And semi-pro football has a kind of a special place in my heart because I followed it when I was a kid. Semi-pro was a lot bigger than NCAA at that time. And you had great all-pro football players that went on to play in the NFL. Came from semi-pro. But if the league wants to be on par with a good college program, or even move up a level to where they're playing maybe an arena football type of game or a summer league that's very well enhanced, it's got to clean that up. You can't have that happening. So that's number one. And I would hate to see that because I think the ECFL and the semi-pro league is very important in a lot of different ways. 2, you need community support, especially with this type of league, as you do any volunteer league. Right? You want the fans to come out to watch the games. And to be really honest with you, even though I enjoyed the game and some of the plays and players and how, for the most part, it went, if I brought my kids to that game, I would never bring them back. Because that's not football. And you need the community support. You need the fans. You need sponsors. You need fans. You need this. And that just disrupts that whole process. So that's the second reason. The third reason, and probably the most important, is if the players really are serious. And I from what I've saw and what I've heard, and the guys I've talked to, they're very serious in chasing this dream of playing football at a higher level. And if there were scouts out there watching this game, even though that player is talented, what are the scouts going to think? I don't know. I don't know if the scouts would come away from that game wanting to recruit anybody. So to me, and I think a lot of people, it's definitely got to be cleaned up. And I know the commissioner does watch the program and does know me. I was talking to him. It's something that's really got to be worked on, guys. So when you do see this, if you do see this, commissioner, things have got to be done. I don't know what kind of power the referees have. But they need to have the control to stop things like this. Otherwise, you ruined a great game. The Silver City Wolves are one of the toughest teams I've watched this year. They've got a strong will to win. It just takes a couple guys, 2 guys, 1 guy to make this happen. And if it was my player on my team and I was a coach there, he would have been pulled from the game right away. Because I don't want that nonsense on the field. Because that's what it is, nonsense. So hopefully when Coach Tom Chesky comes in, like I said, I invited him in. He said he'd be here. He's not here yet. But hopefully when he comes in, we'll talk to him a little bit about that, what the rules are. So let's talk about the game a little bit. Tasmanian Devil. The guy's unbelievable. He's a spark plug on that team. Little guy. Light. Fast as the wind. He gets that opening and he's gone. It's like taking a rubber band and putting it on your thumb and shooting it. That's how fast this guy is. Once he sees that opening, once he sees that crease, all set. He's gone. And the blocking was tremendous off tackle for the Tar Heels. They had that trap off tackle the whole game, the second half. The line did an outstanding job getting the ball to Taz out through that gap where he could make his cuts and turn on the juice. The receivers did a great job blocking downfield too. And that's what it takes to break long yards. I don't care what kind of running back you got. Once he gets through that first hole, there has to be blocking downfield. And they did a great job with that. Defense played pretty well. I mean, they did their job. They had a couple good holds against the Wolves when they were down near the end zone. But the Wolves, man, that team is tough. I got to give it to them. Very physical, very big inside. And they try to impose their will. But the Tar Heels definitely had way too much speed for the Wolves. Not too much passing. I mean, the running game was working. They tried to throw the ball on the Wolves. It didn't work out too well. On the other hand, the Wolves had a pretty good passing game, to be honest with you. They tested that defensive backfield of the Tar Heels quite often. The quarterback on the Wolves was a heck of an athlete. He played safety on defense. He ran with the ball well. He's quick. Had a pretty good arm. But when it got down to it, 12 points is not a lot of points. So I just got a message from Coach Tom Chesky, and he said he can't make it, which is okay. So really, guys, that's it. They're coming up. They're going to be playing the Connecticut Thundercats, which is a very good team. I mean, they're out of Killingly. They did their job and got there. So that's it for as far as the scores and my thoughts on the game. So from what I understand, which was told to me, is that next year, the Tar Heels and the team that Coach Tom Chesky coaches in the other league, the Tri-Borough League, the Connecticut Falcons, will be combining teams. And it will become one team. And the Falcons have a very good team. And if you combine the Tar Heels with the Falcons, you come up with almost a super team. And with that, they'll be moving up to the AAA, from the AAA conference to the AA conference. So that's kind of great news for them that they will be competing in a division higher. And combining them two teams together will make them awesome. They've got the Falcons have some really big guys, a little more experience at quarterback, and have a pretty good team. So by combining both of them, you're going to see a really good team in the ECFL next year. So, folks, thanks for joining me for this ECFL Northeast Streaming Sports Recap, brought to you by Zed Restaurant Group. I'll be back soon with another update. We'll see what happens with the Connecticut Thundercats in the Connecticut Tar Heels. After that, if either team wins, which of course I'm rooting for the Tar Heels, I'm biased, I admit it. If they do win, then I heard there's a bowl game where they can play a AA squad, and they played a tougher squad this year sometime before. So that'll be exciting too. So this is Max signing off from your ECFL recap on Northeast Streaming Sports.